This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Chapter 2 of How Viruses Work, from Common Cold to Pandemics. Viral Transmission, from Sneezes to Global Spread. In this chapter, you'll learn: identify methods of viral transmission between hosts. Let's dive in! A single sneeze in a crowded train can, in theory, nudge an outbreak that ends up closing schools on the other side of the world. Today, we're diving into how those tiny, invisible droplets hitch rides on hands, air currents, and airplanes to turn local germs into global events. About 60% of human infectious diseases come from animals, and 3 out of 4 new threats start there, often in quiet corners of farms, forests, or markets. A virus might first spill over in a single village, but what happens next is less like a straight line and more like a branching subway map. Local buses feed into regional hubs, which link into global flight networks moving billions of people a year. Those connections decide which viruses burn out quickly and which ones ride rush-hour traffic, festivals, and long-haul flights to every continent. Some spread explosively, like measles in a school. Others advance slowly, slipping through households and workplaces. In this episode, we'll follow that journey step by step, from close-range transmission between people to the way modern travel can move a new pathogen to any major city in under 2 days. Some viruses are homebodies, rarely leaving the people or animals they infect. Others are social climbers, thriving on dense cities, packed stadiums, and constant motion. Whether one fizzles out in a neighborhood or races across continents depends on 3 big levers: how easily it passes between people, how long someone is contagious, and how our behavior and environments either block or boost its chances. A cramped bus at rush hour, a poorly ventilated office, or a live animal market can all act like express lanes, while masks, clean air, and vaccines throw up toll booths that slow the whole system down. At close range, viruses mostly move on moist packages we send into the air when we talk, laugh, sing, cough, or breathe heavily. These packages come in a spectrum of sizes. The heavier ones arc outward and fall within a couple of meters. The lighter ones hang, drift, and follow air currents, especially in dry, poorly ventilated rooms. Think less in terms of safe versus unsafe distances, and more in terms of what the air has been doing for the past few minutes. Has it been sitting still or getting diluted and pushed out? Our hands act as connectors between these exhaled particles and our most vulnerable entry points: eyes, nose, and mouth. Touch a shared rail, screen, or doorknob, then rub your eye, and you've essentially completed a circuit. This route is less dominant for some modern respiratory viruses than people once feared, but for others, like certain stomach bugs, it's crucial. Then there are time bombs built into surfaces. Some viruses collapse in minutes, others stay viable for hours or days, depending on material, humidity, and sunlight. Smooth, cool indoor environments can preserve them long enough for multiple people to encounter the same contaminated object, turning a single event into a chain. Different viruses exploit different tactics. Measles can infect someone who enters a room after the sick person has already left, because the infectious particles can remain suspended and concentrated. By contrast, viruses that rely on close contact or bodily fluids spread more slowly but with high precision, often through caregiving, sex, or medical procedures. Vector-borne viruses add another layer. Mosquitoes, ticks, or other animals sample one bloodstream and deliver microscopic payloads into another. Climate, land use, and travel shift where these vectors live and whom they bite, quietly redrawing the maps of risk. Once you scale from a living room to a city, patterns of crowding and connection matter more than any single interaction. Transit hubs, workplaces, schools, and nightlife repeatedly mix distinct social circles. Each gathering doesn't just add cases, it weaves new threads between networks, making it easier for a virus to find fresh, susceptible hosts it couldn't have reached otherwise. In practice, these pathways rarely operate in isolation. Think of a music festival weekend. A traveler flies in with a mild cough, spends hours singing in a packed tent, high-fives strangers, shares drinks, crashes in a crowded hostel, then flies home through 2 major airports. In 48 hours, you've linked bar patios, shuttle buses, hotel lobbies, and boarding lines across multiple cities. That single chain now intersects with daycare drop-offs, factory shifts, and hospital waiting rooms. Contact patterns also shift with seasons and culture. Lunar New Year, Thanksgiving, the Hajj, and major sports tournaments all act like temporary rewiring of the world's social graph, briefly connecting age groups and regions that normally stay separate. Even work-from-home policies or staggered school schedules subtly redraw this graph, changing who overlaps with whom in time and space. Here's your challenge this week. Pick one regular activity, your commute, gym visit, or grocery run, and map the distinct groups you indirectly connect in that one routine. A single infected traveler today can influence hospital staffing, school attendance, and even supply chains weeks later, the way a delayed cargo ship can ripple through global markets. As climate zones shift and cities densify, animals, insects, and people intersect in new patterns, creating unfamiliar routes for microbes. The opportunity is double-edged. The same networks that speed spread can also speed data, vaccines, and coordinated responses if we invest before crises hit. In the end, microbes don't read borders or timetables. They follow opportunity. Your daily choices, cracking a window, staying home when sick, getting vaccinated, are like tiny edits to that shared map, nudging chains of infection to fizzle instead of flourish. In later episodes, we'll see how medicine, data, and policy can amplify those small edits. Before next week, ask yourself, which daily moments, like your commute, grocery runs, or shared office spaces, put you in the highest risk sneeze zone, and what very specific changes, mask in rush hour transit, shifting where you sit, cracking a window, could you make starting today? If you actually traced your last cold or flu the way an epidemiologist maps a transmission chain, who might you have unknowingly exposed? And how does that change how you feel about staying home or masking when you first feel just a little off? Looking at your home and work routines, where could you turn invisible protections into habits, like washing your hands the full 20 seconds after public transport, improving ventilation in one room you use most, or setting a "don't touch your face" reminder during cold flu season? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. This series continues with more chapters on OwlUp.co. Visit OwlUp.co to access the complete course and continue your learning journey. See you there!